everyone. My name is Suzanne Cohen. I have the honor of welcoming you all here today. I'm the president of Democratic Women of Santa Barbara, and I'm thrilled to have you here celebrating our 52nd annual benefit luncheon with us this afternoon. Before we get started, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for all of our sponsors. Their incredible generosity means that every dollar raised today will go to Democratic women's work and to pro-choice candidates. A special thank you to our presidential sponsors, E.J. Bora, Claudette and Jim Roerig, Georgine Viero and Dr. Jen Kennedy, and Meryl and Chuck Zegar. Let's show our appreciation for all of our sponsors and their incredible generosity. I also want to acknowledge the hard work of my fellow board members who tirelessly dedicate their time to Democratic Women's ongoing efforts. Would my fellow board members please stand and be recognized? Today would not be possible without the volunteers on our events committee and their incredible efforts putting this day together. Co-chairs E.J. Bora and Claudette Roerig have been instrumental in making everything run smoothly. And their amazing team of volunteers has gone above and beyond to ensure today is a success. Would the events committee members please rise, and would you join me in showing our appreciation? All right. We are honored to have many elected officials joining us today. Bear with me, this is a long list. First of all, we want to thank our wonderful keynote speaker, Congressman Pete Aguilar, for being here. Representing Congressman Salud Carvajal's office, Diana Villanueva is here. California Senator Monique Limon. California Assembly Member Greg Hart. Supervisor Laura Capps and Supervisor Joan Hartman. Santa Barbara City Council members Megan Harmon, Oscar Gutierrez, Mike Jordan, and Kristen Sneddon. Goleta City Council members Luz Reyes-Martin, Stuart Caston, and Kyle Richards. Santa Maria City Council member Gloria Soto. District Attorney John Savernock. Santa Barbara City Council Trustee Jonathan Aboud. Goleta School Board Member Emily Zacharias. Goleta Water District members Farfalla Bora, Laura Hansen, and Bill Rosen. And Goleta Sanitary District Sharon Rose. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for showing up today. Your presence here is a testament to your dedication and commitment to democratic values. I recently listened to an interview with Shannon Brewer. If you don't know who Shannon is, she is the former director of the last abortion clinic in Mississippi, who was at the forefront of the horrible Dobbs decision. During the interview, she was asked if her job was exhausting, and her response struck a chord with me. She said, yes, you get tired of fighting, but everyone gets tired of fighting. But when you stop fighting, who wins? They win. If we stop showing up, we hand victory to our opposition. So your presence here at this event means that you are continuing the fight. Your participation is essential for us to succeed, for us to win. Thank you for showing up today and for your commitment to democratic women. I'm eternally grateful. Now, I am delighted to welcome back our dear friend and former state senator, Hannah-Beth Jackson. It's your turn. Thank you so much.
Oh. Is there anyone who's warm? I'm just curious. Okay. Well, we're warm to be here, and it is great to be back. I have to introduce myself. My name is Hannah-Beth Jackson, and the reason I have to do that is that I've been out of office for a few years, and last night at the Planned Parenthood dinner, I went to get my name tag, and I said, good evening, Jackson, and this young woman looked around and said, oh, are you Stephanie? Stephanie Jackson. And I thought I better, that was certainly humbling. Being someone who was once someone, it's wonderful to be back amongst people who are really someone. This organization has done such an outstanding job, particularly in the last few years, as we have tried to come out of this stupor of wondering what in the hell happened in 2016, and then watching as our country was unraveled. And so we are lucky, really lucky today, to have a young man, and I can say that I'm old enough to be your mother. But I won't do that to you, because I'm sure you already have one, and that's probably more than enough. But we are so lucky to have with us today the number 3 leader in the United States House of Representatives on the good guys' side. And I am delighted to be able to introduce Pete Aguilar. Now, I said, what would you like me to say? And he said, well, I don't really like to have a lot being said, so I thought what I'd do is use the introduction that is frequently an introduction that I experienced when I was somebody. And that introduction was, and our featured speaker needs no introduction. But really, because Pete isn't from this district, and he is a young man who is, pardon me, there's a spider there that I didn't want to get too close to, is someone who is the hope of our future, as are the young people in this room. One of the things, as I walked in today and looked out at many of us older folks, I said, how are you doing? And I can't tell you how many said, I'm getting older. Well, yes, we are, but we are getting better as we get older. And we are delighted to be with the younger folks who are our future, and the wonderful leadership that we have here today from our elected officials, and the young folks who someday, but only after these folks decide they don't want to run again, you will take their place. So, see, the old people are going, when is she going to talk about us? Well, for most of us, we know Dem Women as an organization for many years and are delighted to see that we have brought today someone who is the vision of the future. We look to him and his congressional leadership to take back the House in 2024, and we know he will do that. He's a man absolutely committed to women's reproductive choice and our health and our right to make our own decisions about when, with whom, and whether we want to have a family, and not leave it to some government official that we don't know, don't like, and wouldn't even want to share a beer with. So he's committed to environmental stewardship. He's also committed to the things that are really important to this organization. We have so many things to be thankful that he is now, I guess, called number 3 in the leadership of the House. And I could go on, but I want to give him a chance to tell us what the future looks like so that we can leave this event today re-inspired, reinvigorated, and committed to take back our country in 2024. Pete Aquila.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Senator. You'll always be my senator. Don't worry. Don't worry. No matter where you go and who you see, Hannah Beth was always such an amazing fighter for all of you. It's something that you should know. Thank you so much for having me, Dem Women of Santa Barbara County. Thank you so much. Now, I swear, they said Santa Barbara. I'm a kid from San Bernardino. I just kind of got turned around. You know, you say SB, and I just start driving to San Bernardino. So it really took something for me to come up here. I love this region. County supervisors, thank you both for being here. Council members, Senator, good to see you. Assemblyman, the new guy on the block, thank you so much for having me. It is just an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today, to share a few words, to take a few questions, but mostly just to say thank you. Thank you for the work that this club is doing and continues to do to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. I know that it is not always easy. I know that the difficulties of this region and the vast geography that you're covering here, but I also know that those of you in blue areas are always free to go knock on doors and to go help other regions, and that you frequently do that. So thank you for the work that you do to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. It is not unnoticed by all of us in Washington, D.C. I also wanted to give a shout out to Deanna with Salud Carvajal's office. Salud didn't want me telling you, so I'm going to tell you. Salud's on one of these CODELs. He's on one of these congressional delegations. He's a big deal. He's on the House Armed Services Committee. So he's often talking about national security, and he's on one of those trips today. He was really upset that he wasn't able to be here. I like to say Salud is like the older brother that I never wanted. That is my introduction to Salud. I didn't want him. Sometimes I can't stand him. He's always giving me advice, whether I ask for it or not. It is just like being at home. It is just like, he is truly, when you're running for these leadership positions, you have to go to your colleagues and you have to go to your friends and you have to ask for their help and support, and you have to ask them to commit. And sometimes you have to ask them to commit when you don't even know who else is running for these things. And Salud was always someone who said, I want to help you, I want to uplift you, I want you to succeed. I don't care what it looks like, what the field looks like. I'm a Pete Aguilar voter. So I will always be indebted to Salud and the work that he does to uplift so many people. And I know that I'm not the only one here in this yard who he has done that to. A county supervisor. What I like about Salud, and I knew it, the first meeting I took with Salud was at Firehook Cafe on Pennsylvania in Washington, D.C. He was a county supervisor, and he was coming up. I had been in Congress for not many months, and I was in one of these tough seats, the kind of seat that Salud occupied that first term. And he asked me about the commute. He asked me about family. He asked me about how we do the job. And I just loved how thoughtful and how pragmatic he was, how he had the right priorities, how he was focused on representing his community. And of course, it makes sense. He was a county supervisor, and he was a chief of staff to a county supervisor for a lot of years. So he's focused on getting things done. And that's what I always like. Surround me by people who want to put the community and the country first, and we will deliver time and time again. So please, 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 whatever you do, if there's any one message you can take away, it's keep sending Salud Carbajal to help us out in Washington, D.C. Not just because I had this event on the books, but I missed, you saw the White House Correspondents' dinner yesterday. I was invited to that, and they call that Nerd Prom and in Washington, D.C., and thankfully, I was able to actually see real Nerd Prom. My junior in high school, Palmer, had prom last night, so I was just the dad wrangling kids to take pictures. So I got to see, so when my friends were asking, are you going to the Correspondence Center. I said, no, I'm going to the real prom. I'm going to see the real prom. So thank you for allowing me. I asked Senator Hannibal Jackson not to recite the biography, but I would just submit to you that the priorities that I have are not unlike the priorities that you care about. My brother and I were the first in our family to go to college through the help with Pell Grants. It's the only way I was able to go to a private school, University of Redlands, and was able to succeed. Served on the city council. I worked for a guy named Gray Davis. Was my first boss. I was a field director in his Riverside office. I'm having a meeting with Gray tomorrow, and I'm excited about it. He saw that LA Times piece, and he takes a lot of credit for me. This former governor. I said, Governor, I don't think you knew who my name was when I worked for you. And he's, that's not true. That's not true. Gray is an amazing human being. And I was able to, but he jump-started this career in public service that I wanted to undertake, serving on the city council, first on a housing commission in the city, then on the city council, became one of the youngest to ever serve in the city of Redlands, and then the magic of redistricting. And the Inland Empire, the area I'm from, had seen an explosive growth in population, and we were able to capture that with the redistricting, and were able to grow. The Inland Empire had one Democratic seat for decades, and now Norma Torres in Congress, Raul Ruiz in Congress, Mark Takano in Congress, myself, we're able to grow our numbers because of that significant population growth. And now it's my responsibility as chair of the House Democratic Caucus to make sure that opportunity continues around this country, to make sure that we strengthen the American dream for the children, for our children, and all of our children. Hakeem Jeffries, you might have seen me. I played a little bit of a role nominating Hakeem Jeffries 9 times. Say what you will. I mean, this guy, Kevin McCarthy, to put his colleagues through that, 15 votes, 5 days, and he just sat there. And he just sat there looking embarrassed as the most extreme members in his party held him hostage. And we saw that again this week as the Default on America Act, the DOA Act, as we like to say, in D.C., they would rather negotiate with the most extreme members of their caucus rather than to just make sure that the full faith and credit of the United States government is never in question. We are happy to talk about debts, spending, deficits, all of the above. And as the elected officials know, in the areas that we need to, in the appropriations room, in the budget committee room, that's where we need to have these conversations. But you should not be able to push default on the American public in order to just cut these incredible, vital programs that give people's lives a better chance. We've seen what they want to do. We've seen that they want to weaken democracy. You don't have to have served. I'm going to give you the Cliffs Notes version. You don't have to have served on the January 6th committee know that they want to weaken democracy. I just saved you from having to sit through 900 depositions. Basically, that's the only difference. But we were able to highlight so many important points about strengthening our democracy, making sure that we fight for our norms and our system. And time again, we were just so shocked at how many of our colleagues on the Republican side continue to support not only the former occupant of the White House, but continue to support voter suppression tactics, continue to espouse the big lie. All of that is just so harmful to our democracy. The hypocrisy, extremism, and failed economic agenda that they are pushing, it's a contrast between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. It could not be more clear. We are, and you've heard Hakeem Jeffries say this, team normal, team reasonable, team democracy, team get stuff done. They're team extreme. And time again, that's exactly who they are. They show us who they are each and every day. The chaos and confusion from Speaker McCarthy and the extremists who dictate his every move, we saw that on full display this week as he put together this Default on America Act. He said it's not changing, the bill is the bill, and then extreme members of his party said it's not extreme enough. It doesn't get us close enough to default. So he went back, opened up the bill, and got the votes to pass it by 2 votes. And they celebrated. Now, this bill not only would get us closer to default, but it would cut $130 billion from our government, from veterans benefits, from Pell Grants, from food inspection workers, all of that they're willing to do in order to get closer to default. But as we progress and see this, it just highlights how important it is to continue to support the Biden-Harris agenda for economic security and the work that we've done as House Democrats in order to help them. We were able to have such success over the last 2 years under Speaker Pelosi. We are so thankful to have her as a Californian, to have her leadership. She has been amazing through all of this and has put me in a position by putting me on House Administration Committee, on the January 6th committee. She has been such an amazing asset and so helpful to me personally. I can't tell you. But her goal, our goal, and it should be your goal, is how do we win enough seats next year to make Leader Jeffries Speaker Hakeem Jeffries? Protecting Social Security and Medicare, uplifting our communities, making sure we're fighting for the right priorities. Those are the things that Speaker Jeffries and the House Democratic Caucus, when we have gavels in our hands, will continue to do. You saw what we did, so this isn't a leap of faith. The CHIPS and Science Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, $35 insulin for seniors, all of these things are incredibly popular. And oh, by the way, we have been and we will continue to fight for women's reproductive rights because that's who we are as Democrats. But we saw the breathtaking amount of money that the other side has. We've seen it time and time again. Kevin McCarthy and this, CLF, Congressional Leadership Fund, this is his super PAC. He will basically auction off anything in the U.S. Capitol in order to secure power. I turned to Catherine when we were in January, and I said, he will mortgage the furniture in this building to get the votes. And every week they show us exactly who they are. We can't do this without you. Now, the road to the majority goes through New York and California. And oh, by the way, those are some blue states. 18 districts that Republicans occupy right now voted for Joe Biden in the last election, in the 2020 election. 5 of those are in California. 6 of those are in New York. 11 combined of those Joe Biden districts that Republicans temporarily hold, 11 of those are in bright blue states like California and New York. And so it is on us to make sure that we are turning out our voters, that we are engaged and motivated. And oh, by the way, this will be my plea. We're located here from driving distance from a couple of these races, and make sure that you're doing everything you can. And I know that this goes without saying. Get on a bus, get in a car, make some phone calls, use the apps to make phone calls. Help us get out the vote in these competitive districts. It is so helpful to have your help and support. As soon as we make sure we shore up our blue seats here locally in Julia Brownlee and Salud, let's make sure that we're doing everything we can to help turn California blue, to help up and down the ballot, make sure that we are doing everything we can to turn these 5 districts that Republicans temporarily occupy into blue seats. That's going to be our path to the majority. And we want to be partners in that. We want to be your partners in that. And I truly mean that. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee is headed by Susan Del Bene from the state of Washington. We have regional leaders who are being helpful. Believe me, as someone who was pinched out of the top two primary, what isn't in my bio is that I tried to run for Congress in 2012, and I came up short. In a district that voted for Barack Obama 58%, I finished third behind two Republicans. This was the first attempt, the first election where we had California's general primary. And we had 4 Democrats run and 2 Republicans ran, and we split the vote, so 2 Republicans made that general election runoff. And it taught me a lot of lessons. But one was we can never get out hustled, and we can never let Republicans use the math and dominate these elections and play games with these ballots. Because we know if given the opportunity, they will do everything they can to suppress the vote, to play games, and to raise their unlimited super PAC money in order to achieve a short-term political success. It is who they are. And so we need to make sure each and every time that we're knocking on doors, that we're making phone calls, that our candidates are resourced enough to get their message out. That's what needs to happen in order for us to take back the House. I am so happy to be here. I'm so thankful to be in your presence. I wanted to leave enough time for some questions as well, and Hannah Beth is going to help out with that. Thank you so much for having me. It truly is an honor and a privilege to be here.
So, Oscar, do you have a mic? No, so you're going to take this one. No, you're not MC. Oh, Oscar, let me see. We have questions. We left some time for questions, and so some of us who need to have them amplified, Catherine will do that. This is a good fundraiser right here. Catherine, if you have a question, raise your hand. Catherine will try to bring the mic, and we'll get some answers.
A little closer. Yeah, I'll repeat it a little bit. What are a couple of the issues, and you tell me if I get this wrong, what are a few of the issues between now and November of 2024 that we can work on in order to get things done? What will you see out of Congress? This is divided government. I can tell you it's going to be hard, and we're not dealing with the most reasonable people. I don't know if you've been tuning in at all, but these folks are legitimately crazy. When I got to Congress, and that's the clinical term, I think. When I got to Congress, now I'm sounding like an old man, Hannah Beth. Back in my day, I swear when I got to Congress in 2014, there was a handful of people who you said, okay, they're a little out there. I'm not going to seek them out. But there's a bunch of other people who are just, a little more conservative than I am, and that's fine. I'm a kid who grew up in the Inland Empire. I know being around some conservative people. It has changed. It is very much changed. There are 100 people on the Republican side who I just don't know if I would even trust to have a conversation with, and I don't even want to say hi to them in the elevator. Now, look, there are a handful of people who I do consider friends. I work with. I enjoy their company. David Joyce in Ohio is a really good guy. Dan Newhouse, I got in trouble, state of Washington. Dan comes from Yakima, an agriculture region, very much like this region. And Punchbowl News, one of these DC pieces, said, who's your favorite Republican? And I said, Will Hurd, because I worked with him on immigration. And they said, well, he left 4 years ago, so give me a new one. I said, Dan Newhouse. So they published that. I saw Dan in the basement. We were in the basement of the Capitol. We were walking around. He says, hey, Pete, hey, thanks for name dropping me, man. That doesn't do me any favors, And that's kind of true. Just by virtue of me being friends with someone doesn't doesn't always help them. And so, I say that to make light of it. Dan's an amazing human being, and wants to. We've worked with him on DACA. He was the lead co-sponsor of the Farm Worker Modernization Act, which Salud was a co-author of and instrumental in. But I'll give you a couple. The Farm Bill, that is incredibly important, and Salud is on the Agriculture Committee too. This is an important year for the Farm Bill. We only do this every 5 years, and that's going to be an important piece of legislation. In the short term, though, and you're going to hear a lot more about the Republican attempts to get closer to default and our debt limit discussions. Those are going to be important conversations, and we're going to need some bipartisanship. We're going to have a lot of help from the Senate on this. The Senate's going to have to put some 60 votes on something, and then the House Republicans are going to be tested. Do they really want to avoid default or not? And for some of them, they do. But for Speaker McCarthy, who's afraid of both his shadow and Republicans over his shoulder, they're going to call for his job if he tries to work with us on something. So there aren't a lot of big policy initiatives that we can do, but I will tell you, implementing these impressive pieces of legislation are going to be front and center of our agenda. The CHIPS and Science Act, the bipartisan gun legislation that is going to put $500 million over the next couple of years into red flag laws and making sure that our kids are safe. It's such impactful, but all of these pieces of legislation, the infrastructure bill, $200 billion that's going to go out each and every year, those things are so important to our communities. And we pass this. There's three things that are important when it comes to legislation. One is usually, the first is the most difficult, is to pass it. The second is to implement it, and the third is to talk about it. And we've already done the tough part in passing it. Now we just have to implement it, working with the Biden-Harris administration. And then we need to make sure that these dollars flow to our communities. And then we need to tell the public, this is what we will do when we're in charge. This is what we did when we're in charge. And this is why you need to return Democrats back to power, to be in charge, to do things. We run to win. We win to govern. And we govern to make people's lives better. That's exactly what we do as Democrats. Susan? You just keep going. I'll repeat it. It's almost as if Susan's reading the question that I asked her to give me. Susan said that there are so many people who knock on doors, write postcards, and make their voices heard within this group. And what are a few of the targets? What are a few of the areas that are of importance to us? And I'll tell you, one of them is not too far away. It is a district that is temporarily held by a guy named Mike Garcia. This used to be the old Katy Hill seat as well. Christy Smith ran in this seat the last couple times, not too far away from here. And I can tell you that is going to be one of the key priorities that we have. There are two in the Central Valley as well, a little further drive. But we can get there on a day trip if you want to go. If you want to go with me, Susan, I'll be headed there. But one has been very elusive to us in the Central Valley that has been occupied by someone there, and then one is new that we lost in this last time. But this is someone it's in their first term, a guy named John Duarte, who I don't think is going to be there very long. And so that's the kind of key nucleus. There's three there. A guy named Will Rollins, who Senator Boxer was very instrumental in helping down in Riverside County. That's a 49-49 Biden-Trump district. Will is indicated that he's going to run again. and I think he has an opportunity. There's a couple Orange County seats as well that are not too far from here. But I would say that I'm given the old numbers here. I need to know this. The 27th is that the 27th is a Santa Clarita seat that's Mike Garcia. So Palmdale, Lancaster, Santa Clarita, Simi. A little bit of Simi. That's I think the closest as the crow flies that is going to be the most impactful. And just to tell you how Republicans won that seat, Mike Garcia and the unlimited machine of Republican politics spent $14 million in that race. Our side, the good guys, the blue team, $4 million. So the cash disparity is not lost on any of us. When you go into these districts, and that's what I want you to tell your friends and neighbors when you're seeing these ads. Look, these ads don't move you, and they don't move a lot of people, but getting those communication tools out for people who don't pay attention is so helpful, and that's where the paid media is incredibly helpful. But the Republicans don't even talk about what they want to do or what they want to accomplish. All of those campaign ads were negative on Democrats, tying Christy Smith to Nancy Pelosi, tying Democratic candidate to Nancy Pelosi and to Joe Biden. They have no agenda. They have no positive economic agenda for the American public. And that's what we need to hold them accountable for. Because as they get closer to default, as they flirt with all of these radical extreme proposals, those are the things that the American public is going to pay attention to.
Thank you, Congressman. And before we get our next question, I wanted to introduce you to someone that you know, a former Congress member.
Oh my gosh.
Caps, and has a question for you. Lois Caps, the microphone is yours.
Hi, Lois. Good to see you. I can't wait to give you a big hug. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the first Democrat to represent Redlands ever. Yeah. Yeah. This is. Yeah. Well, you guys have always been a little blue over here. It just takes a little while on the inland area to catch up. Yeah. It's true. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lois. Just in general, and we know this isn't. I could spend minutes, talking about this, but the commitment of the Capps family, what they have meant to Washington, D.C., to this region, to public service in general. Lois, it's not lost on any of us what you and your family have given, what it means, and I'll tell you, it was just the nicest part of my day as a frontliner. I'm going to peel back the curtain here and tell you, when you're in a frontline district and you're in those tough seats, as Lois said, when I first got to Congress, I would get there and you're making calls, you're doing everything you possibly can. You don't know if you're going to win again, so you're just trying to enjoy the ride as well while you're there. And I would get to the House floor and I would see Lois, and she just has this disposition that you all know, that she is just so happy to be representing her community. And you know when you have that conversation with her that you just can't take yourself. The job is going to be the job, but you have to enjoy it. And she just conveyed that. It just kind of oozed from her. So like, all right, how can I have a bad day when Lois is like, Lois is telling me to just relax and to just, of course, just vote with the team and figure it out and like you're good. She's just such a treat. And so Lois, thank you so much. It means so much. And Laura, continuing that commitment to public service, thank you both. Lois, you're right, and out inland, I like to say also, when there's economic downturn on the coast, right? It's a recession or a depression out inland. It's the same for the Inland Empire as the Central Valley. That Puff LA Times article that came out last week about me did mention Jerry Lewis. Jerry called me his mayor. Up until he passed. I spoke at his funeral, and that's just. He was a Republican. He was the chairman of the Appropriations Committee. He was a decent guy who I don't think would be a Republican under this construct today. The guy who created the Air Quality Management District that helped clean up our air as a state assemblyman in Sacramento. That guy's not a Republican, in this construct. They are so extreme, they would never, ever allow a Republican to do that again. And that decency that he had, even when we disagreed, always meant a lot to me. And so I try to do the same thing, the same type of work that you did, Lois, working with people, even when you disagree with them, finding that common ground where you can, is so important to our work ahead. It's what Hannah Beth did for years, and we're going to continue to do that. I see Salud do that on farm worker issues and in the agriculture committee. He's great on that.
Congressman, we're all very familiar with how polarized Washington is. It's a toxic environment. My question to you is, behind the scenes, is the social fabric in the Congress as strong as the political is polarized? Have you had a drink with Republican colleagues? You guys ever people have to break the bread?
Yeah.
Or is it this cancer spread so far, so deep, that even the social threads of our legislative branch are intense?
It's not what it used to be I'm going to say it in the Walter Capps, Jerry Lewis, era. It's not what it used to be. There are still some fabrics of it. On Monday this week, I flew in, and David Joyce from Ohio, I mentioned. I'm going to get David in trouble now. Just don't keep this between us here. David said, "Hey, you want to come over for a drink?" And so we sat. We had some whiskey, and we talked about the debt limit. We talked about the Appropriations Committee. He's a reasonable guy. He's the Republican lead on the cannabis national legislation that we need to fix as well. He's a decent human being, but there aren't. I guess what I would tell you is, there's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of them who, if they said, "Hey, do you want to go, grab a cocktail?" Who I would say, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Let me clear this thing and I'll do it." It's a handful. Where before you used to go on trips together, used to spend time with your families together, used to get to know each other a lot. COVID didn't help that either, to be honest. We stopped doing trips, we stopped doing any of that. But we're trying to get that back. And I'm a member of the Appropriations Committee, and we're one of the places where we still can kind of work together. Although Kevin McCarthy did have to give 4 appropriations seats to Freedom Caucus members again in order to get the gavel. So the dynamics on that committee might be a little different. But behind the scenes, there are some folks who I've been in an elevator with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and like I just look at my phone and pretend that I don't want to engage. But there are some kind folks who we can work with, but it is getting more difficult because these red states keep drawing these. They don't have fair redistricting, and this is one of the things as Democrats we believe in this in every vote counting, in fair redistricting, state of Washington, state of California, redistricting commissions. That's great. What we've done is we've unilaterally disarmed too, though, because these red states, they aren't playing fair. They aren't drawing fair maps. Tennessee, where we just had this another horrible shooting. Jim Cooper, they just redistricted out of Nashville. He was the one Democrat out there, and they got rid of Jim by carving up that city. So they don't play fair when it comes to this, and their districts are getting more and more red as a result. And so that being reasonable is not how they win a primary election. And that tends to drive everything about representation. Is they got to win the primary first, and they don't win that by being pragmatic. Last question. Hi, Councilwoman. Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilwoman, because you also make me feel old up here too. So this is like a twofer. This is a twofer of a question.
Well, I know that you are an alumni of Future Leaders, and I too am an alumni of Future Leaders. And I'm very proud to be well connected with that organization. And so my question to you, as hearing about your journey into leadership, your background, and your continued investment in young people. I know you recently were able to allocate over $730,000 to a youth organization out in the IE. And so my question to you is, what are some things that you're looking at doing or that you see Congress actively doing to increase resources, revenues for youth mentoring programs and grant dollars at the federal level?
Well, first of all, I can't believe I got to tell the audience a little bit about this program. So we both went to the same program, unfortunately not the same year, but you know who else went to this program? Raul Ruiz, who's a congressman out in the Coachella Valley, a tiny little program in the Inland Empire called Inland Empire Future Latino Leaders. And Tom Rivera, I spoke at his funeral, created this program, and Dr. Tom from Cal State San Bernardino was quadriplegic. And he raised money so Inland Empire Latino kids would pay $0 and go to go up into the mountains, the San Bernardino Mountains and the Riverside Mountains, to go to learn for 5 days, 6 days about their culture, about their community, about being leaders. And I'll tell you, it was just so impactful to me to be around other young people whose parents didn't go to college, who didn't know what that was like. We were 8th graders, and to just have people who believed in us meant so much to me growing up. So instrumental. Raul Ruiz and I did in memory of Dr. Tom. We did a floor speech where we went back and forth. It was pretty special. So I'm so happy that you were a member of that program and continue to uplift young people. Number one, we got to tell young people to be involved, right? And thank you to our campus chapter in the back for helping out, for volunteering here, for continuing to be active. They truly are our future, and so thank you. I'm gonna make. Oh, you got a future leaders group here? Oh my gosh! So you're doing one up here? You're stealing the Inland Empire idea. You're making it your own. Santa Maria's finest. Oh, I love it. I love it. strengthen the partnerships. Invite me back to speak to them. Let's figure something out. I'm going to make more work for Deanna as well with Salud's office. Where's she at again? Thank you. Don't tell him this part. But the magic of the program you're talking about, the community funding projects in Congress when Democrats were in control and we're passing budgets on time, we made the appropriations process work again. The way it did when Lois Capps was there and when Walter Capps was there, where members got to guide projects and priorities to completion. And it was 10 projects 2 years ago, and it was 15 projects. So when we passed the omnibus in December, 15 projects in my community and in Salud's community, 15 of those projects came to life, and ranging from $500,000 to $4 million for affordable housing, for homelessness, for youth involvement, for at-risk youth. All of these things are possible when the process works, when we pass budgets on time, when we pass appropriations on time, and our communities benefit from it. And so we need to make sure that we get back to that, that regular order and that certainty of it. I know that Salud is going to have great projects come forward. I know I'm going to have projects, but up and down the state, we're going to have so many people benefit from those projects that generate from and keep in mind, they have to come from our cities, our counties, our government agencies, and our nonprofits. This is not going to for-profit entities. These are community-driven projects and priorities, infrastructure projects, creating jobs, helping our youth. That's exactly what's needed, those types of projects. So be sure to be active and to let us know. Let Salud know, let your representatives know what is going to be impactful in the future as well. And when Democrats hold the gavels and when we have certainty within our budget systems, we're going to deliver that for our communities again. Thank you so much. Hannah Beth has given me the hook. Thank you for the time.
Is, what are we going to do about the Supreme Court? And the second part is, can you share something with us about the January 6th hearings that we wouldn't otherwise know?
Man, there's a lot of questions. So, former judiciary member clearly asking me about the court. Look, what the court has done in the assault on Dobbs, this is going to continue. And your work, our work ahead is going to be so important. Do you remember when they said this wasn't about a national ban, right? They said this was just about states' rights. Well, it isn't about states' rights anymore, is it? Because we know that. Now that they have Dobbs, now they're going after everything they can to assault women's choice. Where we go from here, look, this is incredibly difficult. We've got to have 50 votes in the Senate in order to confirm judges that are reasonable. We aren't there yet, and we've got to get there very quick. So making sure, look, that is the importance of having a Democrat in the White House, is having reasonable judges, so they can't shop around, so they can't find one judge in Texas to achieve everything that they want in life, where he can go back and try to undo something that the FDA had done 20 years earlier, and so that becomes ridiculous. But the number one thing we can do in the judiciary, maybe this is just a pet peeve of mine, that there is no rules or ethics related to Supreme Court justices anymore. And apparently you can fly them on your private jet, put them on a yacht, hang out with them all the time, buy their parents' houses. Apparently that's all normal, and you can do that now. That is ridiculous. There needs to be a code of conduct that is real, and there needs to be enforcement mechanisms. I can't do any of that as an elected official. Salud can't. Julia Brownlee can't. Nancy Pelosi can't. We can't do any of that. So we need real ethics reform, and there needs to be some tools on lifetime appointments when people misbehave, as we have seen the current court to do. January 6th, I'll tell you, I guess I'll tell you two things. One, I sent Liz Cheney, it came out this week that she's going to have a book that comes out in November. And I sent her a text and I said, Liz, I have two requests. Make me smart and make me tall. And she said, well, one of them's debatable. The other one, I'm not helping you with. So one of my so many depositions that we were in, but how these worked was when it was your hearing. So this could only work because Nancy Pelosi allowed us the space to do what we needed to accomplish. And that meant traditional rules. When we're all on the same page, we could kind of create our own rules. So normally, what I'm trying to say is normally in these committees, they're kind of dry. You 5 minutes question, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. You know, people are trying to get on TV, right? They're trying to like make a point and do it right, but my time is really limited, and so you're trying to make a point in those 5 minutes. For ours, we said, turn the clock off. When it's your hearing, it's your hearing. We have a story to tell. We have backup and depositions and material that will tell that story. But let's just question witnesses and just do it and have one person lead it. So when you're leading the hearing, you're leading the hearing, and everybody else trusts you. And so that means Benny Thompson will speak, Liz will speak, and then when it was my hearing on Mike Pence, I spoke, and everybody else just kind of hung out and supported us. Well, one of those last hearings was when we showed the Josh Hawley video, right? Remember that one where this crazy guy goes out, he riles up the crowd, and then he's running down the hallway, away from these people all scared. So I'm sitting in my chair, and this was Liz's hearing. I'm sitting in my chair, and I'd seen the video before. I didn't know we were going to use it. So we do these rehearsals the day before. And so Liz is running through the hearing, and then, you pause, and we're in the big room that we're using, and they play the clip. And it's Josh Hawley running, and, fist, and then running, and we all laugh. Just your reaction was our reaction, right? And we're also trying to get time right on these because we're working with the networks on these, and so we're clocking it. The comms guy in the back is clocking this and making sure that it's on time. And so I said, time out. Turn the clock off. I said, Liz, I laughed. That was really funny. And she's like, yeah. I said, is it too petty? And she leans back in her chair. She says, no, Pete, I think it's just petty enough. I said, well, I'm not going to be more cautious than Liz Cheney on this, It's embarrassing a senator. So I said, all right. I said, okay, but the only way it works is if we can't laugh. We all know this guy's a clown, right? But, and we all know that he was probably scared, and he was saying, that's fine. Scared of his own people. But we've got to be stone-faced when this clip comes out. And so the next day, when we do it, if you look, you watch the video, all of us just, Adam Schiff just staring straight ahead, Zoe Lofgren, Steely staring straight ahead, just nobody blinks, and everybody and the crowd, which by the way is 80 journalists, maybe 20 real people, they all just start laughing. Your reaction now is exactly how they reacted, and all of us just. And that's the only way. That's the only way it works. And so that was one of the small stories that I liked because it showed. Look, Liz Cheney's a great human being. She's one of the most conservative people I've ever met in my life. But when it comes to protecting democracy, she was right there with us, and we should commend her for that. She would be bad on judges. She would be bad on other things. But on this issue, we would be aligned, and I'm very appreciative of the time I spent with her on this issue. Hannah Beth, thank you so much for the question.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Well, wasn't that something else? Thank you so much. For those of us who were at the dinner last night, this is our second sea bass in 14 hours. But I do want to ask us all to please give a round of applause to the wait staff and the people who served us our meal. And I'd also like to ask you to share with me in a round of applause for Michael Holland, who played some beautiful guitar for us before we all started. So a couple other people I'd like to mention, probably because I share a sort of a camaraderie with them, the formers. We do have a few former elected officials with us today that I'd also like to give a thank you to and ask you to join me. Susan Rose, former supervisor. Helene Schneider, former mayor of the great city of Santa Barbara. Bendy White, I saw Bendy here. Thank you, Bendy. Thanks for coming. Kate Ford, thank you for being with us. And a particular shout out to Olivia Craig, who is on the Isla Vista Community Service District Board. She is the youngest elected official in Santa Barbara County. Are you really 19 years old? A round of applause to the future of Santa Barbara County. Wow. Okay, we were going to give you a couple minutes to eat dessert, but why don't we go ahead and keep going? I don't know about you, and I'm warm. I brought this coat. Some of you are going to have to defrost when you get home. So let's go ahead, and now is the time where we need to raise some money. We heard from the congressman about how important this coming election is. We know that money, sadly, but truly, is the mother's milk of politics. We know how wonderful this organization has been. As Congresswoman Capps mentioned, this organization has, in great measure, along with a few others, brought Santa Barbara County back on the map. If you'll notice, so many of our electeds are women. Our young people are diverse, people of color. And young people who are so young that they still can't vote. No, I guess you can now. See, I'm dating myself. You used to not be able to vote till you're 21. We still have a lot of young people who don't know that they can vote at 18. And this organization helps to make sure that they do get out and vote, because the future does, in fact, belong to those next generations. And we here at Dem Women want to make sure the future is bright, the future is progressive, and you'll note that this platform here leans a little to the left, as most of us in this room proudly do. And we want you to take a look, if you would, at the remit forms, the scan code, which you young people understand, and your auction number. We're going to be asking you to bid on some wonderful items here, and we hope that you will do so. We don't want anybody to have to sacrifice or mortgage their home, but if you do have the resources, and certainly everyone here has a desire, we're hoping that you'll help us raise some money for the future. You know, Dem Women not only identifies candidates nationally, but has been very, very supportive here on the local level. And as most of us know, we have a key supervisorial race. The 3rd district has always been a swing district here in Santa Barbara. And I'm old enough to remember when our Board of Supervisors was a 3-2 Republican district, which meant more oil drilling, more development in places where we're trying to protect our open spaces and the uniqueness of the biosystems that we have in this community. And if you haven't been to Earth Day yet, you have to wait till we're done here, but it's still going on over in the park. And we are a committed community. You know, we are a place that many of us consider to be paradise, and it's our responsibility to keep it that way. So that is an important race. Certainly our elected officials on the state level, the Dem Women write postcards like crazy for all sorts of races, and will continue to be involved as long as we help them. So I'm supposed to speak about the harsh political climate. Why ruin a nice lunch? We all know what's going on in this world today. We all know how important it is that we protect women We protect our right to make our own decisions and to live, especially in circumstances where there are physicians who don't know whether or not they should be able to save our lives because the law says they can't. On gun violence, I'm still so amazed that we're banning books but not guns. I don't know anyone who's ever been killed by a book, but you know, if you get hit by one, all you get is a little nookie here on your, you know, on your face. We're leaning in a direction that we've got to change, and we work hard to do that here, and we're going to work hard to make sure that we put money in the coffers so that Dem Women can continue to do this work. Now we're going to do our live action items. I'd like everybody just to loosen up here. Just raise your hand. You might even put your paddle up just to get some exercise, because we're going to be asking you to participate. Just a minute, the boss is about to say something. And if you don't know who's running in the 3rd district, then you really don't live in Santa Barbara. But we'll tell you anyway. Joan Hartman is here with us today. She is running for re-election. The challenge of this district, there we go, Joan. And thank you for your service. I know it's always been kind of a fun district. Part Santa Barbara, part Mississippi. And this year with redistricting, what is it, about 60% of the electorate is new. They haven't worked with Joan in the past, so we are really going to have to help her make sure that she gets her message out. So, done? Okay, so let us start. We have as our first auction, everybody ready, or do you want to wait 5 minutes and digest your dessert so that your sugar level is high enough that you'll be raising your paddle indefinitely? More alcohol? No, I can't. It's noon. But anyway, pretend like you've had enough alcohol, or more than enough, and help us get this first auction item off the ground. This is a 5-night stay in a luxury contemporary townhome in the exclusive community of Jupiter Landing in Park City, Utah, where, by the way, they've had so much snow that they will be skiing through July 4th. This is pretty exciting, especially if you're a skier and don't mind this freezing cold weather. But it's a 3-bedroom townhome. It comes with an outdoor heated pool, a hot tub, a fully equipped gourmet kitchen. Personally, if I had a fully equipped gourmet kitchen, I'd hire someone to come in and cook. But if you know how to cook and this is exciting to you, it also has a fitness center. So after you eat that fabulous meal, you can work it off. Of course, you can go skiing too, and you'll work it off that way. And maybe even lose weight when you're on the trip, so who knows? But it is a marvelous, gorgeous facility. Have we been showing it around? It has 2 master bedrooms. So, you know, I'm always thinking, how do I deal with in-laws or relatives that I really don't want to spend much time with, but that you could, you know, earn friends by inviting them, because they're 2 separate master-type suites, or do we call them main suites today? Primary suites. I'm always willing to learn. Primary suites. And then there's, if you want to bring kids, so there are bunk beds there, downstairs, so you don't have to deal with them if you don't want to. I mean, it's a perfect setup. You're a 3 minutes walk from the gondola to go up to, what are there, 7,300 options of skiing. Georgine, you want to tell us how many lifts and so forth are there? There's a lot. What more do you need to know? So if you love to ski, we all know Park City is one of the most magnificent places in the West to go skiing. You have a hot tub there, you've got a heated pool, you've got a beautiful opportunity to spend 5 nights at one of the premier ski locations, probably in the world. And we are offering that up. Again, like I said, if you have kids and you have to bring them, Pete, you might bring your kids. I mean, they don't pay enough in Congress to bid on this, but just as a thought for future reference, 5 days, nights at this magnificent condominium. Let's start the bidding at $3,500. $3,500. Do we have a bid at $3,500? 5 days, Park City, Utah. Number 25, thank you, Suzanne. Let's go to that's 35, let's go to 4,000. Do we have 4,000? $4,000. It's worth about $10,000. So I may even pitch in at 4, but I don't have in-laws. Well, there are some people that I could pretend that I really liked, and they'd have a great time and would be friends forever. So we've got $3,500. Can we hear $4,000? 4,000? Do we have $4,000? 5 days at Park City, Utah. 5 days, Park City, Utah. We've got $3,500. Oh, the heck with that. $4,000. I'm bidding on it. Are you kidding? This is a go. Am I allowed to do that? Do we have somebody here from the ethics committee? It's my money, not a rich person's money who's going to appear before me 20 times. No. It's legit? You got 4? No. Oh, you'd bid for me. I can bid. I'll bid for me. I've got chutzpah. I'll do it. $4,000. Let's hear $4,500. I'm willing to take it at 4, but $4,500. $4,500. Oh, now I've got to. Okay, there's competition here. We got $4,500. How about $5,000? This money is going to help Dem Women. So not only are you going to have a great time on the slopes, you're going to be giving money so we can get the right people elected to office. What's more important than that? Who knows? If the Republicans take over, they'll probably declare that climate change means that the ice needs to melt. And so we'll never have snow and we'll never be able to ski. No, that didn't work. All right, $5,000. Is there anyone here at $5,000? We've got $4,500 going once. $4,500 going twice. 5 days at Park City, Utah in a magnificent condominium where you can prepare a gourmet meal, probably call out for a gourmet meal. Lots of flexibility here. We got $4,500 once, twice, sold for $4,500. Number 25. Thank you so much, Suzanne. All right, we'll go down to something a little closer to home. We've got 2 days, 1 night, island adventure at Channel Islands National Park at Santa Cruz Island for 4 people. It includes ferry transportation to and from, dolphin and whale watching along the way, Discovery Sea Cove kayaking, snorkeling, and wetsuit rentals, optional hiking and visitor center, complimentary hats and t-shirts. And what more could you want? A t-shirt. You don't even have to go on the trip, but you have a t-shirt that says you did it. You'll make a lot of new friends. And you won't even have to go on the trip. But actually, our Channel Islands are unique. We have a unique ecosystem with these islands that is not known anywhere else in the world except the Galapagos Islands. How do I know that? Because I schlepped all the way to the Galapagos Islands only to discover if I had stayed here, I could have had the same experience at a far less expensive price. Who knew? You did the same thing. All right, well, let's get smart now. This is a wonderful trip, and seriously, it's 2 days and 1 night on this adventure in the Channel Islands, and it is truly unique in the scope of what nature has to offer. It's valued at $1,500. Let's start it at $500, and I'm making the first bid. I don't want to have to go down to the Galapagos again to see nature at its best. $500. Anybody at $750? $750. Jimmy? All right, how about $1,000? Again, this is for a great cause. $1,000. $1,000, number 53. How about $1,500? $1,500? $1,500, number 93. How about $2,000? And we're giving a little extra to Dem Women. How about $2,000? Can we take this at $2,000? How about $1,750? Anybody at $1,750? $1,750, you don't have, the Galapagos, it's magnificent. It took 25 hours to get home. This will take you, what, 2 hours? All right, we've got $1,750. Thank you, Jimmy. How about $2,000? $2,000. Do we have $2,000? Did you bid $1,750 twice? Just once. Oh, darn it. All right, because I would say $2,000. Anybody at $2,000? Again, this is to help Dem Women, and there are 4 people. So if you have kids, you can actually get them off their screens and actually do something where they learn about what nature has to offer in a place that is, actually, it's in Monique Limon's district. So they'll get a little bit of politics, a little bit of all of this. All right, I'm just saying it's an opportunity. $2,000, do we have $2,000? We've got $17.50 then, going once. $17.50 going twice. Sold to Jimmy for $17.50, number 110. Item 110. All right. Jimmy Roerig at 110. 4 dinners for 4 people at 4 of our great restaurants here in town. La Paloma, The Lark, Gala, which I hear, by the way, is a month's time to get into this new restaurant. Just think about that. Maybe we can get you in 3 weeks if you bid on this. And then Fleur de Maze. And to boot, we'll have some great Santa Barbara Wine Collective to join all in, what do we call, pairing your food. See, now that sounds like that's got to be worth a lot of money because we're going to pair the wine with the food. Is anyone impressed? All right, never mind. We're going to start this at $500. Again, for 4 people. All right, we've got 2 bids, $500. How about $750? $750. How about $1,000? Can we hear $1,000? We got 4 at $1,000. How about $1,500? Anybody at 15? Number 123 at $1,500. All right, anybody else? That's $1,750. Can we do this at $1,750? See, we know people who like to eat out. This is good. All right, we've got $1,500. Can we hear $1,750? $1,750? 1,500 may be it. How about 1,600? We got 1,600 in the back. Thank you. How about 1,750? You got it. 123. How about 2,000? How about 1,850? I'm getting to get this crowd. It takes a while, but we got 1,750. Can we go 1,850? Anybody at 1,850? It looks like we're going at 1,750 going once. 1,750 going twice. Sold. 1,750 to number 123. All righty. Okay, our last item on the live auction, and for those of you feeling, get out, right? COVID's over, at least somebody said that, even though I know friends who keep getting it. How does that happen? But it's lesser of a problem. So we're getting out, but this actually allows you to be in the outdoors, a coastline afternoon sailboat cruise for 4 to 6 adults. Now, do we define adults as anyone over 6? Or do we make it like 18? Let's say 18. We'll say at 18, 4 to 6, 18-year-olds and older. Oh, I see, because it's followed by a happy hour, wine, and charcuterie snacks. Now, charcuteries helped us get elected to elect a Democrat in Pennsylvania. Isn't that right, Congressman? Charcuterie helped us elect Fetterman, who said, I don't know what a charcuterie is. Where I come from, we call it wine and salami, or whatever it was. We thank you so much for that. And for those of you who don't know what a charcuterie is, I don't know either. So you're in good shape. All right, but there's a happy hour and a charcuterie snacks in the harbor after coming off of the Sugar, which is a J160, 53-foot, 1997 sailboat. I have no idea what that means, but it's probably a really nice boat. 4 to 6 people, and I've done the coastline trip. How many of you have taken that trip, usually around sunset and all? It's really magnificent. We live in this beautiful place, and it's an opportunity to remind yourself how gorgeous it is. So this is one where, let's see if we can't get some robust bidding. We'll start it at $500 and see where we go. Number 7. And if you've been on this trip, 4 to 6 adults, wine, cheese, charcuterie, whatever the heck, and an opportunity to really appreciate how gorgeous our coastline is. We've got 500. Do I hear 750? Can I hear 750? 750 in the back? 106. Thank you. How about 1,000? Can we go to 1,000 for this? I mean, this is a nice experience. Number 7. Thank you very much. $1,000. Can we go to 1,250? Again, it's a little bit over what the value is, but it's money going to Dem Women. That's what's important. We're going to use this money. Thank you, Renato. 1,250. All right. Can we go to 1,500? 1,500. Think of some people that you owe dinner for, and you don't have to cook. You just go in this boat. What a great, there we go, 1,500. Thank you so much. How about 1,750? I want to go on the trip. 1,750. Do we hear anybody at 1,750? All right, we got 1,500 going once. 1,500 going twice. Sold. Oh. We got it. I said sold. All right, sold to number 7 for $1,500. And if you bid on any of these, please fill out the form so when you leave, we can nail you. I mean, you will be happy to pay and get your gift card for it. You want to come up here, Claudette? I think you're doing a lot better job than I am on this. All right. Now, this is the last part of this. If any of you are feeling particularly guilty, as you all should, for not having purchased one of these other items, we have the paddle race. And truthfully, this is really, a lot of us are busy or you don't want to go out. I mean, it's been very comfortable living in sweats and T-shirts and pajamas and at least on the bottom, from waist down, or maybe flip-flops and slippers. So getting out, I know, is still a little bit of a challenge for most people. So now we're going to ask you if you wouldn't mind contributing to this great organization with your paddle. So I promise you, I'll only catch a few of you and commit you to $50,000 each. But if you just raise your paddle just to get the hinges loosened, can you just raise that paddle? You have it in hand, but I was just kidding. Just raise it up there, and so we know that you're still here and that you're interested in potentially helping us raise some good money for this organization, which is a great organization, as you've heard. So let us start. We're going to start the ask. And by the way, if you're a sponsor, you get to take the flowers, and if you're not, keep your hands off the flowers. Those are for the sponsors. Okay. Ready? We're going to start at $5,000. Again, this is money that is going to go towards Dem Women's efforts to protect our local communities, to get key people elected, to keep Pete company when he wants to go out for a drink at night. We want him to be able to go out with friends. To make sure our state continues to be blue and lead the nation on the areas that are most important to us as progressives, our environment, our freedoms, our democracy, choice, the things that really matter to us. So let's go ahead and start giving some money to Dem Women. Let's start at $5,000. Do we have someone who will give us $5,000? $5,000? Do we have a paddle we can raise for $5,000? Anybody here? $5,000? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Anyone here? $5,000 to help Dem Women. All right, let's go to $2,500. This is a much easier number, I know, for most people. Think about how well you did in the stock market 3 years ago. Maybe last year. $2,500. Anyone here willing to give $2,500 to the great work of Dem Women? Come on, let's have $2,500 here. Anybody for $2,500? All right, how about $1,000? Now we're talking. $1,000 for Dem Women. $1,000. There we go, number 74. Thank you so much, Beryl. $1,000. Anybody else? Let's get this ball rolling. $1,000 for Dem Women. The postcards. And by the way, this organization is a 100% volunteer organization. Every dime goes to the candidates and to making sure we win these seats. $1,000 given is $1,000 well spent. So let's have some more. $1,000. Anybody for $1,000? Let's have some. Number 10. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary. $1,000. We've got 2. Let's get some more. $1,000 here for Dem Women to go out there, raise hell, and get more good people elected to office. $1,000. All right, let's go to $500. I give $500. I don't know what my number is, but you know how to reach me. $500 here for here. 130. Number 31. Number 86. Number 108. Anyone else? $500 to Dem Women. The lady in green. Don't let her leave. $500. All right, let's go. Some more. $500 for Dem Women. $500. We're at $500. Where are those young people? Those minimum wage workers. Don't you have $500 somewhere? Oh, that's for your rent. I'm sorry. All right, $500. Anyone else? $500. Let's go down now to $250. Now this is what? 5 lattes. Come on. $250. Anyone? $250. Number 8. Sudi, what number are you? Number 72. What is the number? 250? 250. All right, anybody else for $250? Number 75. Thank you. Over here in the cheap seats. Let's get you guys going. All right, we got one at $250. Anybody else for $200? Number 14 for $250. Anybody else? Number 124. Thank you, Gloria Soto. And you can be sure they don't pay much in Santa Maria. But there we go, because Gloria knows how important this is. Anybody else? $250. Anybody else? $250. All right. Let's go down to $100. Everybody now should raise their paddles. Number 17. Anybody else? $100. Number 147. Anybody else? This is really 5 lattes. Number 93. Thank you. Anybody else for $100? $100. Number 96. Thank you. Thank you, Lois. Anybody else? Let's go. $100. It's not a lot of money. That is 5 lattes. Number 30. Number 38. There we go. Those postcards don't come cheap. But the labor that is used is cheap because these are volunteers who want to make sure that the future is bright for ourselves and the generations that follow. $100. Anybody else? $140. Thank you so much, Joanne. $140. Anybody else? $100. What is that, a sweater? Maybe a pair of flip-flops today? Who knows? They're expensive. $100. Anybody else? All right, we're going to try at 50 because we want everybody to go home feeling like they have contributed to today's event. $50. Can we have some people at $50 to contribute? Let's go. Number 119. Thank you. $50, folks. Anybody else here? $50. $50. Thank you, Joan Hartman. What number are you, Joan? It may not be hers, but number 52 is just committed to $50. All right, anybody else? All right, folks, thank you so much. Oh, wait a minute, 1 second. The boss has something to say. Yeah. Right. Okay, so for all of you who contributed or think you'd like to now that you've been guilted into giving something, either fill out the form or you can scan it, and as you go out the door, they're going to take your firstborn to make sure that you pay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. And we appreciate what you're doing. Come volunteer for Dem Women. And thank you, Congressman Aguilar, and to the future and to the leadership of the Democratic Party. May we keep you safe and well and inspired. Thank you all.